Okay, so we are ready to start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Neuroscience webinar. My name is Rafa Novak, and I will be your host today. And today we'll be talking about enhancing balance and gait in aging with non-invasive brain stimulation. I'm very happy to welcome our guest speaker on the other side of the ocean in Boston. We have today with us Dr. Junhong Zhou. Hi there, Dr. Zhou.
Hi, how are you?
So please let me quickly introduce our speaker. Dr. Zhou holds the position of instructor in medicine at Harvard Medical School and serves as an assistant scientist at the Hebrew Senior Life Hinda and Arthur Marcus Institute for Aging Research. His research is dedicated to the fields of gerontology and rehabilitative medicine, where he focuses on the developing innovative strategies to enhance functional independence in aging population. Dr. Zhou has a remarkable track record with over 70 peer-reviewed publications, including contributions to journals such as Lancet Health Longevity, Movement Disorders, and Annals of Neurology. And one notable achievement in his body of work is the application of tDCS to target prefrontal brain regions, which has demonstrated potential in improving dual task balance control. This pioneering research opens new avenues for addressing age-related challenges and enhancing the quality of life for older individuals. So welcome, Dr. Zhou. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, and also thanks for the invitation from Neuroelectrics for this webinar. And today I would like to share our work, like what we are doing on tDCS, especially using tDCS to improve the balance and gait in older adults. Because as I introduced, I'm working at the Hinda and Arthur Marcus Institute for aging research. So our main target is about the older adult population, and our team these days the team is large, and I'm more than an honor to work with Dr. Lou Lipsis, Alvaro Pascual Neal, and also Brad Manner. So let's start. So we know that the diminished balance and the altered gait during walking often lead to falls in older adults, right? In our daily life, we often perform the walking and standing in a dual task or even multitask condition. For example, we often walk while talking to others through the phone, or listening to the music, or being distracted by other friends. So what is the influence of the concurrent task, like talking to others, in the dual task condition on the performance of standing and walking? So this is an example, we can measure how dual tasking affects our balance using a dual task paradigm, which is very classical and widely used in the field. So this is an 85-year-old gentleman came to our lab with the complaints of the instability of standing and walking. So we have to stand on a spatial scale that measures how his body moves around when standing. We call it postural sway. So it looks like, it looks like this. And next, we have him stand and perform an unrelated mental task, like counting backwards by 3 or by 7. Yeah, like 500, 497, 494. So this is this is a standing posture sway when he was performing the standing while doing the counting. So then he posture sway like this, which becomes much more fluctuated. So we can quantify the sway area, right? Like let me show you like the area in the green circle. And we can also compare the sway area between the conditions, like standing quietly and standing while counting backwards. So we can observe there is a very large or big change, right, between the conditions of the sway, and we call it like dual task cost. We oftentimes quantify the dual task cost by using the percentage of the outcome, like the sway area here, from single to dual task condition. And also, we observe the change of gait in dual task walking by comparing to the normal walking, like walking quietly. We can see, okay, so we can see this is the footprints of the walking on the pressure mat in 2 conditions, right? It's very obviously that walking quietly has a much faster walking speed, and walking while counting, like dual task walking, is slower. And also we can see there are much more like a shorter stride length in dual task walking, and the stride looks like varied compared to much more varied compared to the single task walking. So this means in dual task walking, this older man cannot perform it very in a very stable way, or like there are huge gait instability in dual task condition for this one. And many studies these days have shown that the performance of standing and walking is related to important health status or the incidence of risks in older adults. So let's see some examples. On the left, this is the middle-aged population in Barcelona, Spain. It's from the Barcelona Initiative study. And we observe that the dual task gait performance diminished with the increase of age, and the cognitive function is a significant contributor to such age-related decline in dual task gait. So and also that gait starts with a threshold in over 54 years or 57 years old. So it's much young. It's the decline of the dual task gait starts at a much younger age than we expected, or like the traditionally defined older age, like 60 years or 65. It actually starts at around 54 years. And also on the right, this is another example which is very famous, like from Dr. Manuel Dasso, based on a cohort in Canada with older adults of mild cognitive decline or impairment. So at baseline, they measure the dual task cost to gait speed, and then they track the incidence or the numbers of people who turn into dementia or Alzheimer's disease in the following days. And then they found that actually the dual task cost to gait speed of 20% is a threshold. So at baseline, those with dual task cost to gait speed greater than 20% had a significantly greater hazard ratio to become dementia or like a very severe cognitive impairment in the future compared to those with dual task cost smaller than 20%. So we can see that actually the assessments of dual task study and walking provide a clinically meaningful insights into the health of older adults. And also it's very important to restore the balance and gait, especially in dual task condition, in aging process and also age-related conditions, which can help improve the functional independence when people turn into older age. Then for our group, like unlike other like a traditional or like other biomechanical group focused on the musculoskeletal function, we feel like walking is a very dynamic task regulated by multiple underlying neurophysiological components, right? So when like for this example, this figure, when we're walking on the ground, the peripheral sensory system perceives different types of the sensory information, right? Like the vision, like the visual information, and also the smell sensory information. And all this information are sent to the central nervous system, including our brain. And also the CNS integrates and processes information and sends out the feedback to the musculoskeletal system, forming the movements of walking, right? So in older adults, the age-related decline showing the slowing of gait and decrease of balance may arise from the diminished capacity of the brain to effectively process the afferent information from the peripheral systems and send the appropriate feedback. So the brain, we feel that brain is also the key to the control of the balance and gait. And also regarding to our brain, we know that our brain has a very complex structure, right? No matter from the temporal scale or topological scale or spatial scales. And also researchers have classified some like a cerebral or cortical regions of the brain into different kinds of clusters, or even like, for example, the YAL7 fundamental networks, right? Like this picture showed. So each of the networks is related to some specific function. For example, the prefrontal region, which is our primary target of our studies, have been linked to the cognitive function, like working memory, planning, and other things. And the postural pericentral gyrus is about the motor control, right? So many functions are related by several functional regions of the brain or networks at the same time. And for dual task gait and balance, some studies using, for example, like the functional near inverse spectroscopy, like the FNIRS, have shown it's related to the activation of both prefrontal and also, of course, the motor regions. So we are trying to examine if we can improve the dual task gait and balance in older adults by intervening the activities of these brain regions since the year of 2013, when I was still a PhD student. And the technique we use is transcranial direct current stimulation, tDCS. I think everyone is in the webinar is very familiar with this technique. So it's actually one type of the transcranial electrical stimulation techniques in which we sending the micro direct current to the cortical regions through the scalp electrodes. And also from this picture, we can see there are also other types of the current stimulation, like the alternative current stimulation and also random noise stimulation, which can also entrain the brain activity and thus intervene the functions. And our journey of tDCS starts from two pilot studies we explored in these two studies to if the tDCS, like this old-fashioned tDCS targeting the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, can improve the performance of dual task standing and walking in a group of healthy younger and older adults. So we can first go over these two studies. In study 1, we recruited 22 healthy younger adults, and in study 2, we recruit 37 healthy older adults without any major neurological diseases and with normal gait speed. And both studies are double-blinded and randomized with the same study protocol. And so in which like each participant completed 2 study visits is separated by 1 week. And on each visit, they receive either 20 minutes of tDCS or sham stimulation, right, which is a control. And for tDCS, you can see this picture. We place a nodal positive electrodes on the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the castodal on the right supraorbital region, and like this. So by doing so, we hope to facilitate excitability of the DLPFC. But we should notice that right in those older times, like 10 years ago, we only have the device with very large size sponge electrodes, and the sham was the inactive sham, right? During which we still targeting the same region as the real tDCS, but only delivers the current in the first 30 seconds, right? And then each participant, before and after the stimulation, each participant completes the assessment of standing and walking immediately. And also in our study, we asked them to complete 2 static trials within each of the eyes open, eyes closed, and dual task condition, and also 2 walking trials within the single, like walking normally or walking quietly and walking while counting backwards. The primary outcomes is a postal sway speed and area of standing and walking speed and their dual task cost, like the percentage of each outcome from single task condition to dual task condition. So this is the example of the results in these 2 studies. So as we expected, we observed that this type of the tDCS targeting the left DLPFC can improve the gait and balance in dual task condition in both younger and older adult group. This figure shows the results from the older adult group. We can see after the real tDCS, like the black column, the dual task cost to get speed, right? Free tDCS is over around maybe over 10% dual task cost, but after the tDCS, it's nearly only 5. Nearly we reduce half of the dual task cost. And similar to the dual task cost to sway speed and sway area, right? There is a significant reduction of the dual task cost, which means a better balance and gait in dual task condition. but there's nothing about the single task condition or single task performance. So this gives us really some like confidence that it's a promising new technique and then time to improve the dual tasking capacity, especially in older animals, right? But still, we need to know there are some like really obvious limitations in these piloted studies. For example, the improvements actually arise from the activation of specific regions, like our targeting region, the DLPFC, or it's the activation of the whole brain. Because the reason is we use very large, like this kind of figure shows the large size sponge electrodes. So it's really cover a large area on the scalp. So the current delivered to the brain is really diffuse, right? So we cannot guarantee the current can be precisely delivered to the targeting region instead of diffused to other regions. So that's one like a potential limitation. And also we're targeting only one region, right? We don't know if we have some new techniques to targeting multiple regions at the same time, will the effects can be greater or enhanced, right? And also for the shame control, we know we're still targeting the same region of the brain, so we don't know if the 60 seconds of the stimulation will induce really nothing, or there is still like some effects on the cortical activity, and also how is the underlying neurophysiological change is induced by tDCS, and also is there any stressful effects? Although it's double-blinded, right? But sometimes the participants know they will get some like intervention, and they is expected that they should perform better, right? So it's hard to know, or it needs us to examine if there's any influence from their subjective confidence or belief of the stimulation on their performance, right? So we do need a new study to explore or examine these kind of questions. So to try to answer those questions, we recently have performed a multi-center, double-blinded, and shame control study to characterize the effects of tDCS with high resolution on gait and balance in older animals. This study is completed by our team and also Dr. Jeff Hostoff's team in Tel Aviv. We recruited older animals with similar characteristics in our pilot studies, that is age over 65 years and no overt neurological diseases, and also able to walk and stand for 30 seconds without any personal assistance, and with like the normal cognitive function and no other contradictions to tDCS intervention. And this figure shows how the flow chart of our screening or recruitment. Oh, sorry. And we for 61 participants, and 4 of them were quitted or withdrawn from the study due to some events, but which are not related to the intervention itself. So finally, after we got the complete data set or data from 57 participants. And in this study, each participant completed 4 visits and separated also by at least 3 days. And each visit consisted cognitive task, standing, and walking tests before and after 20 minutes of stimulation. Similarly, for standing tests and walking tests, we asked them to perform the standing postural control and also the gait in dual task and the single task condition. And also we asked them to complete some cognitive tasks to track their cognitive function throughout the study. The unique thing for the design of tDCS and shame, we work with neuroelectrics using the most advanced neuromodeling technique called StimWeaver to navigate and model the current flow in the targeting cortex on a realistic template of the head model. So we designed 4 types of tDCS, like this figure showed. Like they are the targeting the left DLPFC only, like the D, and also targeting the sensory motor cortex only, and also targeting both left DLPFC and SM1 at the same time, which is multi-target tDCS, and also the active sham. This is very unique. So we the same target and same placement of the electrodes, but with much smaller current, and also we guarantee also all using the neural modeling to navigate the current flow do not penetrate the scalp or the like skin, just have the same sensation about the stimulation, but the current will not cause any biophysiological effects on the cortex. And also, by the end of the each visit, we use a questionnaire to ask participants whether they believe they received the real or sham tDCS and how, and the confidence scale of their guess. Like 1 means like not confident, and 3 means they are very confident about their guess. So this can help us to quantify how their subjective confidence on their performance. And also we tested the potential effects of the weight order, like because we have 4 visits. So there is a strong, like the potential strong effects of the practice effects on their performance, right? So we also doing the complete some statistical analysis on the effects of the weight order on the performance, and of course, compare the performance between groups or between the stimulation conditions. So now let's see the results. And first, we checked if there was a difference and the baseline between 2 sites. This is from Tailwave, and also this is from our Boston site. And there is no significant difference between the participants and 2 sites. And also we assess the potential side effects due to tDCS. Because every time we ask participants if they feel something uncomfortable after stimulation, and also on the second visit, on the following visits, we ask them to report the same thing before the next stimulation session. So we can see smooth transition and mild uncomfortable feelings were reported, and no one said they cannot bear the stimulation or they need to quit. So it's good, means tDCS can be well tolerated by older end population. And this table shows the main results of each outcome from this study. So from this table, we can see there are some like significant interactions, right, for the dual task cost to sway speed and sway area, and also the dual task cost to sway walking speed, and also secondly, we also observe the significant interaction in dual task sway speed and sway area, which are our secondary outcomes. And very interestingly, is like the Tukey's post-hoc analysis revealed that the dual task post-sway speed and dual task cost to these 2 outcomes were lower following the both left DRPFC only stimulation and left DRPFC with plus the sensory motor stimulation when compared to the sham stimulation and compared to the stimulation targeting the sensory motor cortex only. And similar results were also observed for the dual task cost to walking speed. So this really interesting. Half of the results following our hypothesis. This is an example like the both left DRPFC and left PFC plus the sensory motor stimulation reduces the dual task cost to gait and balance in older animals. But not as we expected, the combo stimulation did not induce significant greater improvements compared to tDCS targeting DRPFC only. So this means maybe DRPFC is really a core region for the dual task gait and balance, right? And also targeting the SM1 may not induce that kind of strong effects on the performance as we expected. So we also, like in our secondary analysis, we categorize the stimulation condition. We further look into the role of DRPFC for the intervention and for the performance. So we categorize the 4 groups into 2 types of the group. One is targeting with DRPFC as a target and without DRPFC as a target. So we do see that actually if the stimulation targeting the DRPFC, no matter DRPFC only or combo tDCS, the dual task performance, like the dual task posterior sway, speed, and area, dual task calls to them, and also the dual task stride time variability and dual task calls to walking speed is significantly improved as compared to the tDCS targeting without targeting DLPFC. And also another important part of this study is we examine the potential placebo effects of shame and the effects of the subjective belief on the functional improvements. So this table shows the number of subjective guess and the confidence of their guess from participants when they complete the first visit and also all the visits. So we can see very similar number of people across different stimulation conditions in the first visit guess correctly, and also their guess was not too different from each other and also from the following visits. And the proportion of the guess from each intervention type and the related confidence scale were also not significantly different from that expected by chance. The p-value is about 0.29. So it means that we have a successful blinding in this study. And within each condition of the stimulation, the order in which it was administrated did not influence the number of participants who gets real. So that means there's no order effects on their subjective confidence. And also we examine the effects of guess on the observed significant improvement in gait and balance by calculating the percent improvement from pre to post DLPFC only or DLPFC or the combo tDCS, which we observe significant improvement, right? And also the model shows there was no effects of subjective guess on the percent improvement on in-space speed, sway area, and also the gait. Means there's no placebo effects on the observed improvement, a functional improvement in balance and gait. So the improvements do arise from the effects of tDCS instead of their subjective confidence. So this multi-center and double-blinded shame control study demonstrated that using tDCS to modulate the excitability of the cortical regions, especially the DLPFC, can induce the significant functional improvements, especially in dual task condition in older adults. And also, it's interesting that the DLPFC instead of the SM1, like the sensory motor cortex, is beneficial. So we need to explore more, like why that this kind of thing happened. And also, such kind of improvement is not due to the placebo effects or subjective confidence from participants. And also, a unique thing is when there was a new kind of active shame technique as a control, which induced the successful blinding and also did not intervene or did not influence the performance of the participants, which is good and can be used in future studies. And also, if you remember, we also recorded the cognitive performance before and after the stimulation, but unfortunately, we didn't observe any significant improvement in cognitive performance. But we guess maybe this is due to some like ceiling or floor effects, because we have the cognitive intact older adults in this study, and their performance at baseline is really good. So maybe there's no room or space to be further improved. And future studies focusing on some like, for example, mild cognitive impairment cohort or even dementia cohort, we may explore more about the effects of tDCS. And also, these studies we focus on the behavior performance like I introduced here. But actually, we also recorded the EEG signals before and after the tDCS stimulation, and the team member in our group is also doing the analysis on that. I think there will be some publications coming out soon. Even though we completed a very explicit examining or the exploration about the effects of tDCS on the dual task performance in older adults using some like most advanced techniques of the tDCS and also other things, still we are facing some challenges, and also there are some like future directions we can try at least two, like, I feel like a very big challenges. One is we still observe very high inter-subject variance, right, in the effectiveness of tDCS. And also another one is like we always ask participants to come into our lab or come into the clinical settings to do the stimulation. Right? For some people with who live in the rural area far away from the hospital or with some restrictions, they may can not get access to the stimulation. So we need some like a more advanced technique to do that. So for the first question about the inter-subject variance, this is an example, right? From our previous study, we show that although at the group level, we do see a significant improvement, but still we saw there are there are large high inter-subject variance between the participants. This figure shows the delta cost to gait speed from pre-tDCS and post-tDCS. So we can see, right, this each dot means each participant. Some participant has really large improvement in delta cost to gait speed after stimulation, which is great. But some has very limited stimulation effects. So one reason for this maybe is due to the difference of the brain structure between individuals. Because we know that the aging is also the aging process is also the process of change of our brain for both function and structure. So like the brain atrophy, the structural difference may alter the current flow of the tDCS if you are familiar with the stimulation, right? Because it really depends, the current flow really depends on the actual brain structure. So if we are just using very simple template or just using one template for the stimulation, the current flow delivered by the tDCS may be really diffuse, and maybe the untargeted E field may not that optimal, and then the effects may not be obvious. So some novel neuromodeling techniques have been implemented to characterize and navigate the current flow of the brain and to help the design of the stimulation montage. But here comes a question, like if we do modeling with MRI for the stimulation, it will be much more expensive, right? Especially in the US, it's about like $800 for one session of MRI scan. So it will be much more expensive than the group-based method. We don't need the MRI; we can directly target the brain regions, right? So it's really highly demanded to first compare the effects of the like the group-based tDCS and also the individualized tDCS, or to explore the on-target E-field intensity, the relationship between the on-target E-field intensity to the performance, right? If this is highly correlated, that means in some situation we do need the individualized, precise tDCS stimulation. But if nothing there, maybe we can just do a very general or simple group-based tDCS, right? For the results in the practice, which can be cost effective and cheap, right? So in most recently, like just a few months ago, we completed a pilot study, not pilot study, but like the first study to directly compare the effects of tDCS using the sponge-based, like the large size electrodes, and also use some like small like a EEG electrode-based tDCS with really high focality of the current flow on the standing and walking performance in a group of older adults. And we recruited 29 older adults with delta cost to gait speed and greater than 10%, which we measure the delta cost to gait speed and baseline, and only those with delta cost greater than 10% can be included in the study. And for this study, each participant completed 5 study visits. On the first visit, we do the structural MRI scan. This help us to estimate the on-target intensity of the E field. Actually, in the original design, we designed the individual type tDCS and also the group-based tDCS. But due to COVID pandemic, it's really hard to do the individualized and doing those things. So we change our protocol to like using the sponge-based electrodes and the electrode, like smaller electrode-based tDCS, and then in turn to estimate the on-target intensity and also to examine the relationship between the performance and current flow. So it's sort of an alternative strategy due to the token. And then, like I said, in the following 4 visits, they compare 2 visits using the sponge-based tDCS and also the inactive sham, like the traditional old-fashioned sham tDCS, sham stimulation, and also other 2 visits of using the small electrode-based DLPFC tDCS and active sham. And also, we first model the current flow, the E-field distribution using a healthy brain template. Yeah. And on each visit, also before and after the stimulation, they complete the single and dual task study and the working test, like we introduced just now. And also the primary outcome are the dual task cost to gait speed, sway area, and sway speed. And also, of course, we did analysis for other outcomes. This table shows the percentage or the percent change of each outcome from pre to post stimulation, right? The sponge-based tDCS, sponge sham, electrode tDCS, and electrode sham tDCS. And we present percent change, which is more illustrative to the effects of the stimulation. So we can see compared to the sponge-based and electrode-based sham, tDCS induced significant, like this kind of 2 types of both induce significant greater improvements in dual task cost to gait speed, sway area, sway speed. And also, we then quantify the on-target E field intensity with the help of neuroelectrics at Junhong and Ricardo. And they use each individual's brain MRI to estimate the on-target current intensity. And then this figure shows the relationship between the percent change of the dual task to gait speed or to the sway area and the E field, the x-axis is normal component, right, which is the outcome for the E field. Greater normal component means greater E field. So this results shows these 2 figures show the results from the electrode-based tDCS. So we can see those with greater on-target E field have greater reduction, for example, reduction of the sway area, which means a smaller area in dual task condition, and also a smaller, greater reduction of dual task cost. That means their gait speed change, like the reduction of the gait speed in dual task condition becomes smaller. Yeah. So this means actually we do see the on-target E field intensity plays an important role on the performance. So maybe in the future, it's worth to implement the individualized tDCS to maximize its effects in some situation. Because this reason is we also do see the obvious or significant improvement induced by the simple sponge-based tDCS, right? So it's cheap. It has its own unique advantage we cannot ignore. Another challenge, as I said, is the implementation of our tDCS intervention, which is not feasible to some participants or some people with restricted mobility. So we also have, actually, we are still working with neuroelectrics on a study to test the feasibility and the effects of one like novel remotely supervised and caregiver-led and home-based tDCS. So we just ask participants or their caregiver or health proxy to come to our lab for the first time to get some training about the use of this kind of cloud-based tDCS technique, and then complete the stimulation at home. And our team member can monitor the stimulation remotely in our lab via the platform, and to make sure it's correctly completed and the baseline and the beginning. So for the first few sessions, we do a remotely monitored sessions, and then when we feel like it's familiar and they can successfully complete the stimulation by themselves, then they will complete by themselves and only report any potential side effects or adverse events to us, and also complete the required functional assessment at their own home using like smartphone or other things. And also if I remember correctly, we have completed hundreds of the sessions, like home-based tDCS sessions, and the results show like the participant can successfully complete the stimulation by themselves, which suggests it's safe and feasible in the future to intervene our brain at home. We don't need to go to the clinics every time or go to a lab every time, but we are still collecting the data. More results are coming out. So taking together, these are the effects of our team made in this direction, and also the work we are still working on. So for now, we are showing that tDCS targeting the cognitive motor brain regions can improve the dual task capacity, especially for the mobility and sort of the cognitive function in like older adults. And also the long-term, we have some past studies showing longer-term effects of multi-session tDCS, but we do have a trial for Bright R1 to explicitly explore the long-term effects of multi-session tDCS on studying and working performance in older adults. And also, we also observe that the aging or some other age-related conditions alters the flow of the tDCS and also alters the impact on the function. So maybe we need some more efforts to explore how we can best maximize the effects of tDCS on the functional performance for each individual. In that way, I believe we can implement in a more like a broader, like a targeting audience or targeting population. And also the modeling, personalization, or remote administration of TCS are critical to this kind of direction, and also can help improve or advance this promising tool and potential intervention in the future. So this is our team, and Lou and Brad are here. But I didn't find the picture with Dr. Alvaro Pascual. So of course we should have Alvaro on the slide, right? He really helped us a lot. And thanks for your listening.
Okay, thank you very much for excellent presentation. We have still some time for the Q&A slot. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A tool. And I think we'll be ready to take some questions. So actually, I have one question regarding your results of the stimulation of in freezing of gait in the dual task cost, stimulating dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and somatomotor cortex, and you are getting better results actually stimulating dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So like somehow like counterintuitive in terms of stimulating only cognitive network instead of primary sensory motor cortex. What could be like the hypothesis regarding the mechanism and pathways?
Yeah, this is really a good question. Actually, we also asked that kind of question for ourselves, and actually Ricardo, also he helped to quantify the normal component for the DRPFC and for the sensory motor cortex, and we see that kind of template or the stimulation montage, the normal component on the sensory motor region is relatively small, and we feel it's because the direction or the distribution of the sensory motor cortex is in parallel to the stimulation or to the current flow. So it's for that kind of montage we use, maybe it's hard to induce a very large effects or large normal component on the sensory motor. But the distribution of all the structure of the DRPFC is vertical to the stimulation, right? So then can really induce a very large normal component. So that might be the reason why we didn't. But unfortunately for that study, we didn't do the MRI scan, so we don't know the actual normal component for each subject. But we have that kind of discussion in our manuscript about that. Yeah, so that might be the reason. But of course, we can to have a montage to maximize the normal component on that region, right?
Okay, thank you. A question from John, actually, regarding the very first publication you were commenting on from Lancet on the significance of and association between age and dual task performance.
Yeah.
There is like the sudden increase in the dual task cost, especially, and actually I think you were explaining at 54 years. So
Right.
why at this age? And hypostasis, why exactly at 54?
Yeah, that's also a good question. We haven't started to analyze the brain imaging data in BBHI. So like we have, but we will. But by trying to search the literature to explain, there's actually some brain imaging studies observe the how to say the decline or change of the brain structure or the brain function do happen at the age of around 55 years old. So that we feel maybe that's the reason why we observe a sudden change or a threshold of the dual task gait. Because we also in the paper we also show that kind of decline in the middle age is associated with the cognitive function. Because we have a Zara cognitive assessment in this population, and we do see the general cognitive function and also the processing speed and working memory contribute significantly to the dual task gait in this population and associated with the change of the dual task performance. So maybe it's due to the brain change affect the cognitive function and then affect the dual task gait performance.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We have a question from Jan. I might have missed it, but how many milliamperes were used for stimulation? Have you altered the strength of the current milliampere to test how much is needed for maximal effect?
Oh, that's a good question. That's for the old-fashioned tDCS, we know like each electrode can deliver only like 2 milliamps, right? That's the maximum for the safety issue. And for the new like a small electrode-based tDCS, like from the StarSteam device, right? From NE, we got the instruction like each electrode the maximum current intensity is 2 milliamps, but we can have multiple electrode focusing on one region, right? The suggested maximum current intensity for one region is 4 milliamps. So we always ask Ricardo to to model the montage like following this kind of criteria. But I also do see some recent studies they explore the relationship or explore if we can increase the current, right? They do see some results, but from the very classical paper published by Dr. Michael Lichi, they suggest that we solely or only improve the current intensity will not induce or will not further improve the effects on the functional performance. Actually, the repeated sessions or increase the sessions of the stimulation can help that. So that's why we always do like 20-minute stimulation with a current of 2 milliamps. So but both due to the safety issue, also efficiency of the study, and for the benefits of the participants.
So actually, you have shown that there was a I think even linear relation between the effect and the stimulation current.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But we are limited from the safety point of view. Now we cannot go. So you would expect if from the safety point of view we could apply more current, that we could get better results, or they're like based on the paper from Michael Leach, there is a sailing effect, and we couldn't go even more.
That's right. Yeah, like the last few slides I showed, actually I will discuss with Ricardo Julio and 11. That's most recently coming out results. So for that one, we do see the relationship, but as you suggested, we should considering the safety issue and other things. So we should under that kind of restriction to try to maximize, right, or to maximize the target E field intensity for each individual. Maybe we can design different kinds of montage for that, for the practical aspect. Yeah.
Okay. Question from Mark in regards to this comparison of sponges and small pi electrodes. If you, during this comparison, you have applied the same intensity or stimulate according to the current density beforehand?
Oh, that's really also another good question. And also for the sponge electrodes, we directly apply the 2 milliamps if the participant can bear it. If they cannot, we will reduce until they. But for older animals, we do say the 2 milliamps is well tolerated. So everyone for the sponge-based electrodes, sponge-based tDCS, we use 2 milliamps as the current intensity, and for the pi electrodes, like the small electrode stimulation, as I said, like we first model the E field or the component on a healthy brain template, and then we maximize everything on that with under safety consideration, and then apply to our endos. So theoretically, we will have E field on target with the current intensity of each electrode about 2 milliamps, but maybe there's some like change, like there are some difference.
Okay, and actually, can you comment a little bit more regarding what you've called active sham stimulation? So this is the standard sham. You are stimulating. What are you actually doing during active sham stimulation?
Oh yeah. So for the active sham, we did not we do the same montage, not montage, like the placement of the electrodes, enabling the double blinding, right? But for the active sham, unlike the traditional inactive sham, we deliver the currents for the entire session, not only the first few seconds, but the current intensity is about like only 0.1 milliamps or even lower, just to induce the sensation of the skin or the scalp, but do not let the current really deliver to the cortical region. And also, for that's based upon the modeling results, and I think I'm not sure if Imiano or like Junio, Ricardo, I'm not sure if Imiano is on the paper. They show that actually this kind of stimulation can induce the same sensation as the real tDCS, but do not induce any real biophysiological effects on the brain cortex. Yeah, so that's why we are doing that. We feel that because in the old times, the inactive sham, we induce the stimulation, induce the current on the first 60 seconds, right? But the entire session is about 20 minutes, because so many times we got the report like they sense that okay, that's a sham, because they don't have any feeling after maybe after 10 minutes or so, right? That feeling disappeared, or that feeling is different from the real stimulation. So that may broke down the double blinding.
Okay. That's very good explanation. I have a question regarding if there were any specific cognitive domains that were more strongly associated with the changes in dual task, and then could be improved with the stimulation. I have seen that you use the Stroop task, digit numbers, any specific cognitive task that you have seen that could be improved, or is it general stimulation?
Oh, that's really also a good question. Actually, that's that to answer this question, we need the support from the neuroimaging studies. But actually, regarding similar to this question, my colleague like Amy Law, like she did some previous work about to explore the relationship between the gait performance and also the brains, like the neural network. So she really find actually there are some unique networks of the brain, like the cortical functional network's brain corresponds to different gait performance. Gait speed is about the I cannot remember clearly about one network, and the gait stride variability. Gait variability is related to the other one, and also this kind of neural like the cortical control network or characteristics and also are different between, like for example, the healthy older adults with Parkinson's disease, and also the mild cognitive impairments. So she developed some like a new stimulation about the network-based tDCS to facilitate one region to inhibit the activation of the other region, because it's not always the activation is not always helpful, right? For example, for our DMN, we don't want the DMN as a default mode network to be activated during the performance of task, right? So she designed that kind of network-based tDCS to try to try to maximize the effects for some like a very specific gait outcome or gait performance. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we are reaching 1 hour of the webinar. This was our last question. Thank you very much, Dr. Zhou, for your presentation and of this exciting results.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you are going to join us again for the next webinars. For more information, please visit our webpage, neuroscience.com. And once again, thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Take care and goodbye.